This is breaking news.
Happening right now, Connecticut Governor Ned Lamont and leaders from higher education institutions across the state are holding a press conference regarding the reopening of colleges and universities for the fall. Let's listen in.
A long history of success. For more than 170 years, we have been educating the working class of our state, and we are ready to continue to do so despite the COVID-19 pandemic. As it is our tradition, we will be providing an enriching educational experience to our students, while the health and safety of our central family guided the preparations for this semester. During the summer, we developed a comprehensive plan for a successful fall 2020 semester. We have invested millions of dollars in technology and infrastructure upgrades to contain the coronavirus spread and also enhance online and on-ground learning. We are quite proud of our new high-flex classrooms, which are equipped with some of the industry's most advanced classroom technology. You're welcome to tour our facilities and see firsthand the transformation to keep our students, faculty, and staff safe and healthy. And now, I would like to invite the President of the Connecticut State Colleges and Universities System and State Lead for Reopening Higher Education, Marco Jakin, to share some remarks with us. Thank you, and again, welcome to Central.
Thank you, President Toro, for your introduction and for the great work you and your team have done here, putting together a comprehensive plan to repopulate Central's campus. I first want to start by welcoming back all of the students, faculty, and staff to all of our campuses for a very different semester. It has taken a great deal of work for all of us to be here today. As a matter of fact, the effort to reopen all of higher education began in earnest in April, right after we had to pivot to online in March. And a great deal of effort has gone into making our campuses ready and safe for all of our campus community. At the direction of the governor, Connecticut has not only a set of common sense guidelines driven by public health to reopen all of Connecticut's higher education institutions this fall, but I'm happy to report that for the system I am honored to lead, at least for the next 4 months, the 4 state universities, the 12 community colleges in Charter Oak, we have a comprehensive plan to reopen safely. And today, on the first day of classes here at Central and at our public colleges and universities across the state, except for, as you know, Western, which had to push the pause button because of a temporary spike in cases in Danbury, we are hopeful about getting both campuses up and running and reopening that university shortly, but we're ready to serve all of our students. And we know that this is going to be a very different semester, not only for students, but for employees and staff as well. As you can tell, there'll be fewer folks on campus and fewer in-person classes. There will be more online, hybrid, and high-flex offerings. Many appointments with student-facing services will be held virtually. Everyone on our campuses will be required to wear masks and keep physical distance. Residential students who are required to submit a negative test before returning to campus will be tested on an ongoing basis throughout the semester. Cleaning has been increased to keep classrooms and common areas as safe as possible. And these are only a few of the public health protocols that are taking place across all of our campuses. And I am confident that these moves, which are guided by science and public health data, if followed correctly, can ensure a safe semester at our public institutions of higher education. But that's the key point. Everyone on our campuses must be part of the solution. We must take the public health guidance seriously if we want to have a successful semester. This is, of course, a challenging time for all higher education institutions in Connecticut. And I'm going to have a few words to say later about the governor, but now it's my pleasure to introduce my colleague in public higher education in the state of Connecticut, the president of the University of Connecticut, President Tom Cassaleas.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, President Toro, for your hospitality. It's a pleasure to be with all of you here today. UConn has been partnering with the state, the governor, our commissioner on public health who's here, Deirdre Gifford, on establishing and following gating conditions for a safe return to campus for all of our campuses. And we're very fortunate to be in the state of Connecticut, to have the governor's leadership, and to really have a starting point that puts us at an advantage relative to our peer institutions. Our reentry plan is designed to protect faculty, staff, and students at all of our campuses, the surrounding community, and the state. To that end, we are opening with a much lower density. As many of you know, we'll have about 5,000 out of our 12,000 beds in our dormitories filled. And on our campuses, our classrooms will be about 1/3 of the density they normally are in order to keep 6 feet of spacing, have masks on everyone, including the faculty and the students. All 5,000 residential students who moved in last weekend or weekend before last were tested on arrival. Out-of-state students from hotspot states were actually pre-tested, tested on arrival, and then again 3 days later. Of the arriving students, we had 8 positives out of 5,000, so far below the positivity rate for the state as a whole. We're also testing all commuters and staff, and that's ongoing and going very well. We are working very hard, and our faculty, staff, and students are working very hard. Compliance overall has been extremely good. When you walk around the Storrs campus, for example, you see almost every student walking around with a mask on and maintaining social distance. There are key days ahead, however. We have been very successful up until now. We do have one cluster which has formed from the athletics department, and it's at this point it is still below the state average overall in terms of the positivity rate on the campus. But our efforts are focused on containing that, and there'll be key days ahead to see how successful we can be. But our goal and our commitment is to stay safe, stay well, so we can stay open. And I'm looking forward to working with all of our partners to achieve that goal. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, President Cassaleas. We would not be here today reopening all of our institutions of higher education were it not for, in part, the incredible work done by public health experts in the state of Connecticut, and especially by our great Commissioner of Public Health, who has been a true partner in this entire effort. And so now it's my pleasure to ask Commissioner Gifford to come up and say a few words. Commissioner?
Thank you very much. President Ojekian, thank you very much. President Toro, President Cassaleas, Governor, and to the students, faculty, and staff here at Central, welcome back. And we're, all of us at the Department of Public Health are wishing you a successful and, of course, a healthy semester. As President Ojekian mentioned, the Department of Public Health in Connecticut has partnered very closely with colleges and universities to provide recommendations as they developed their reopening strategies. There's a very long list of things that we have discussed, many of which you have just heard about, but they're all very important elements to a safe and successful reopening. I'll mention a few. First of all, the quarantine of students returning to residential facilities from hotspot states. That was a challenging logistical effort to put in place. I want to congratulate and thank all the colleges and universities and all of their staff at the residential facilities who figured out a way to bring these students back safely from some of these states, to get them tested, to make sure that they were in pods, and make sure that they were not bringing any infections with them when they came from other states. President Ojekian mentioned the testing of residential students prior to arrival to make sure that there was a safe reentry to dorms. The colleges and universities have worked hard on developing isolation and quarantine spaces so that as soon as an infection is identified, that student can be quickly removed from the other students and safely kept apart so as not to spread the infection. The dining facilities have been rethought. There's less in-person dining. There's a lot of grab-and-go dining, and the facilities are complying with the governor's sector rules on dining. So that's another important element. And then contact tracing and working with local health departments. DPH has been facilitating some of those conversations. I want to thank our local health departments who've been working closely with colleges and universities to make sure that they're ready if a case is identified, to make sure that they can do the contact tracing and notifying individuals to remain safe. So, of course, we have seen cases at colleges and universities around the country. DPH is following those situations closely and communicating with our colleagues here in Connecticut. And we will make changes to our recommendations and follow the science if needed. That's what we did in Danbury, and I want to give a shout out to the local officials in Danbury, to our colleagues at the colleges and universities who quickly took action to slow down the repopulation of those dorms until such time as that the peak of that outbreak in Danbury has passed. The last thing I'll say is that we're starting to see a pattern about social gatherings and spread of COVID. And these are often not the big parties, although those are obviously problematic, but small social gatherings, just a few people maybe getting comfortable because of their friends or maybe even family that they don't live with. So I want to just say to President Ojekian's point about this is really the success of a return to campus really does depend on people remembering the rules about mask wearing and social distancing. Keep those social gatherings safe. Wear a mask when you're around anybody you don't live with. Have your social gathering outside. Stay 6 feet apart. And if we all work together and follow these rules, we also are confident in a successful return to campus. And finally, I want to give a shout out to the team that's keeping us safe by cleaning off the area in between. We really appreciate it. We appreciate all you're doing to make the return to campus safe.
Thank you. Thank you, the Commissioner. I think one of the key points the Commissioner made is that this is going to be a very fluid semester, and we may need to be flexible in how we react to certain circumstances, and we are ready, working with our partners in the administration, to make sure that everybody remains healthy and safe on our campus. As we all know, this has been an incredibly challenging 5 or 6 months for the state of Connecticut. But because of the governor's strong leadership, we have a comprehensive statewide plan to mitigate the spread of the virus while ensuring that essential functions restart. And the governor has not bowed to pressure from different sectors in our state who might want to reopen quicker than might be prudent according to public health guidelines. The governor has kept us safe. He is reopening the state of Connecticut in a very phased-in and strategic way, and his leadership really should be applauded, as we, I believe, have one of the lowest, if not the lowest, virus positivity rates in the country. And so it's my pleasure to introduce the governor of the state of Connecticut, Governor Ned Lamont.
Hey, well, thank you, OJ. And President Toro, it's great to be back again. I taught here for many years as an adjunct professor, and then thanks to President Toro, I became a distinguished professor, which I think is a three-syllable word for old. But I love coming back, and I love the fact that CCSU is coming back, and all of our colleges are coming back, and coming back safely. I gave OJ and Tom and a few folks a call right at the height of the pandemic. This was some months ago. You were talking about, OJ. And I said, we have one of the great university systems in the world, and we got to figure out how we can start thinking about getting people back to school safely. And at that point, COVID was raging, and we thought maybe it was a little premature. And we got a guy named Rick Levin, who is president of a relatively well-known residential college, and also Coursera, a leading digital distance learning university, along with Tomcat, and OJ, and the public health officials, and saying, how can we do this safely? We started planning on that in April and May. And this is the culmination of some months of real collaboration between the educators, the teachers, the public health officials, trying to find how we do this. And President Toro, I don't think education will ever be the same again for what we're going through now. And we're finding the new ways that IT is going to be integrated into our classroom. And